Let's do Chloe on Heather du Plessis-Allan and how offended Heather du Plessis-Allan seemed to be. It's not really just around homeless people, but it's around the ones that are a bit shouty. What do we do with the ones that are a bit shouty there? What do we do with that? Now, I have actually cut this first part for you, Chewie, because we jokingly said, well, we were joking when we said it, but I think we were kind of thinking probably so joking about Sonny Cashel. Well, it's come out that Sonny Cashel's group was absolutely the people who were suggesting the getting rid of homeless people. It's come out, and in fact, it's so out there that Heather du Plessis-Allan uses it as part of her introduction to Chloe Swarbrick. Have a listen.
Now, the fallout continues from the government's plan to deal with Auckland's homeless. It turns out the idea originally came from Sonny Cashel's crime advisory group. And the original idea was not to ban homeless, but to introduce move-on orders. Chloe Swarbrick is the MP for Auckland Central. Hi, Chloe.
Kia ora.
You okay with the idea of a move-on order?
Well, look, I welcome the government's long overdue focus on Auckland, but what the evidence shows is that this is not actually going to solve the problem. It merely moves it along. In the last week or so, I have re-engaged with Minister Mark Mitchell, who's back on deck, and I am feeling as though there's a constructive way through this. I think that it is rather hysterical for the government to respond to an issue of its own making, that is increased homelessness, by coming down hard on criminalising those who it has made homeless. So I think it's time for us to get to the core root issues here and to invest sensibly to resolve them.
Okay, so if you don't like the idea of move-on orders and you don't think it works, what should we do? What's a better idea?
Put them in homes.
Yeah, well, look, I think obviously...
Yeah.
Build houses.
How do you solve the problem with people not having homes? The homelessness situation.
Firstly, what is really clear is that the issues that have been identified by a number of my constituents and a number of small businesses, particularly in the city centre, is the fact that there are a number of people who are using our streets as kind of a third space, which makes sense given that emergency housing is not a particularly nice place to spend 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. And then, of course, we also have those who are still not getting access to housing. So a form of day centre, which is something which I've been advocating for a long time, along with a number of other service providers, where people are able to use that space to have a cup of tea and to engage with wraparound support services, would be a far better use of resources.
Isn't there a place like this, a kitchen?
And then they spend like the next minute talking about a place in Auckland that used to do that, and it still does that, and the cafe is still there, and Chloe's like, yep, the cafe is still there, but they don't do this thing. It is I guess there is a kind of valid question to ask about, if you have day spaces, what do the homeless do overnight? Part of the conversation. But then we get into the part of the conversation, and it's a little bit long, but I want to play it because I want to play for you and I think I can say this, what appears to be the epitome of kind of white fragility, Karen fragility, pearl clutching, talking about people with, because you know, the ones that shout are the people with the most serious mental health issues on the street. And Heather du Plessis-Allan just won't let it go. But what about the ones that shout? What about the ones that are mean? What about the ones that shout? And Heather du Plessis-Allan comes to the conclusion, well, they should just be locked up overnight. That would be the best solution. So yeah, it's 3 minutes, this whole clip. I don't know if we'll come in and out, but I wanted you to hear all of it. So let's get through it.
Running.
Okay, I mean, Chloe, but we're not talking about nice people who are just sitting around having a chat, right? We are talking about people who shout at other people, who cause a nuisance, who are actually threatening and disruptive. What do you do about them?
Yeah, so look, again, engaging directly with service providers and actually with our beat cops in Auckland City Centre, the police themselves are the first to say that they are not equipped or resourced to deal with social issues. And even if they were to move people along, which they kind of do on a day-to-day basis at the moment, that doesn't stop someone from popping back up in the exact same place the next day. Right now, it seems like really the only place that these people can end up being put is being held overnight in the cells.
Yes.
Again, that doesn't go anywhere near towards resolving the problem.
Yes, but
That yes, just so you know, Heather, that yes was a bit aggressive and a bit quick. that come into holding them. Yes, in the cells. Yes, it was just there was a little bit too much stank behind that. Yes.
Is
So
that
what
not
the police are
better?
telling-
Is it not better, Chloe, for the person who's got a shop there, that person is not there overnight and is in the cells? I mean, it's not ideal, but it is a better situation, isn't it?
I mean, you've kind of hit the nail on the head by saying it's not ideal. And if we're seeing this as a
But it's
pipeline into the
better.
criminal, this is a pipeline into the criminal justice system. And if we want to talk about spending good money after bad for worse
Yes.
and worse results,
Yes, we do. Chewie, I'm looking at your face. You look perplexed. It looks like you're almost surprised that Heather du Plessis-Allan is saying exactly what I said she was going to say. I found like when you actually hear it from her own mouth, you're like, what the? But I've told you. This is what literally she just says, lock him up.
Just maybe we could build some sort of camp situation.
Surround it with alligators.
Yeah.
Call it Alcatraz.
Yeah, look, is this just part of her background?
I don't know.
Being someone that's run away from South Africa when things got a little bit difficult and there was kind of a little bit of shift in power. Maybe that's her frame of reference. That's her complete lack of empathy or understanding. She's completely insulated from this. It'll never happen to her. So why should she waste any time? Like, this is what the police are for, right? Scooping up the mentally ill and the unfortunate.
Yeah.
No, that's a fantastic use of the police's time.
I
Like, we
think
can't possibly help people because landlords have got to get their pound of flesh. We can't balance the two. It's just crazy. No country has solved this.
Yeah.
No country has even tried. Don't look at the programs where they looked at a UBI. Don't look at programs where cities built a whole bunch of basic little tiny cottages for people to fucking live in so they could at least feed themselves, be safe at night, have a shower, all of that sort of thing. Don't point social services at where those homeless people are to see what they need, whether it's mental health support. You know, don't do any of that. Just fucking put them in the cells. It's genius.
In my opinion, there's an obvious demarcation line between the left and the right. And I know there'll be some crossover toward the centre, but let's just leave it at that. Whereas the left want to help and the right want to punish. The left want to go of the homeless situation. Yes, this is a problem. How do we stop the problem? The right want to go, yes, this is a problem. How do we punish the offender? Quote unquote, air quotes around that offender thing. And so what Heather du Plessis-Allan is doing here is she is going personal responsibility. They're in this situation now. It's up to them. That means we have to isolate the rest of society from them. They need to take responsibility for themselves. And the only way we can do that is to remove them to a cell overnight. Whereas what I hear in Chloe's voice and a general talk of left is, but that doesn't solve the problem because then they're in that same doorway tomorrow night. We need to help the situation so that there's not someone in that doorway who needs to be there homeless, rather than every single night picking them up and putting them in a cell. Oh, guess what? The next night they're there again, picking them up and putting them in a cell. So that's the right solution. Punish, punish, punish. You're responsible for yourself. No matter what happened in your life, punish, punish, punish. And the left is like, we, the community, are somewhat responsible for you because you are a product of us. Now let's find a solution for you. And that to me is one of the big sort of differences that I see between the left and the right, and why I much prefer to sit on the left, because it's more about we than me. The right's about me, the left's about we.
Personal responsibility is all well and good, but there are so many people that hide behind that as a way of saying, I don't give a fuck about anybody else.
Yeah.
I'm okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm never going to have to deal with this. I'm insulated, that sort of thing. But they ignore just the pure part of humanity. What got us to society at this level is that we fucking look after people.
Yeah.
You don't go, oh, you've got a broken leg. Well, good luck with the wolves. We're fucking off now. We stopped doing that in prehistory. Heather du Plessis-Allan would be fine with that as long as she's telling the guy with the broken leg that the saber-toothed cats are getting a bit close. Good luck with everything. You're on your own. Oh, she's a horrible woman.
All right, well, we'll keep going. This has actually got 2 minutes to go, this clip. We came in very early. We'll keep listening to what Chloe's got to say in the situation.
We know that it costs $200,000 per prisoner per year.
I know. But don't give me the problems and how complicated this is, because I know that. What do we do about the situation if you don't want them to be moved on, what do we do?
So this is exactly what I was saying at the start. We need to fund more of these day centres.
But you're talking about a day centre, Chloe, for people who are, going to be cooperative. I'm talking about the ones who are lying around doing drugs, shouting at people, walking around being difficult. What do you do about them?
And I'll just say this again, the ones with the worst mental health issues. What do we do with them? Just lock them up and throw. If only they still had those places like, what was it, Lake Alice? Is that one of the places? We could put them all there.
Well, that's where the social service support, and again, many of those outreach kind of people within the community are funded by many of those social service providers, the likes of which I'm meeting on Friday morning.
Can they go and get those people and take those people away?
There would be the opportunity for those outreach.
Have you seen that movie where Ewan McGregor, they have a place where people have clones of themselves, and the people who are the clones aren't aware that they're clones of themselves because they're only there for when the real person out in the real world gets lung cancer, and then they take the clones and they cut their lungs out of them, they put them in the real person, and all of a sudden these people who are the clones, they get taken away, and all the people who are the clones in this area think, oh, they've gone off to a bit, they won the prize, they won it, they're able to go off, and it kind of feels like that. It's like, just take them away. It's like the people who are around them, oh, they're no longer here, they've gone away. In the American cartoon, it's like the puppy's gone up to the farm. It's now living on the farm. They've just gone away. And everything's fine. It doesn't matter if they were fed into a meat grinder after they were taken away, because they're no longer in a doorstep having a mental health issue. So as long as I can't see them, then the problem is solved. That's what it comes down to, Chewie.
Back in the 40s, the 30s and 40s, there was a government program to deal with society's undesirables, and they would pick them up and put them in a van and drive them somewhere else. Problem is that they vented the exhaust into the passenger compartment. And they did that for a wee while until it became just not efficient enough. So they built camps. I feel like someone like Heather du Plessis-Allan would be the person that was cheering on this new government program of these vans that would pick people up, because she wouldn't have to deal with the raggedy edges of humanity when she walks around the high fashion shops in central Auckland.
And people are asking, and you're correct, people in the chat, it's called The Island, that one. So that's the actual movie.
Not a bad film.
No, not a bad film. All right, I think about 60 seconds.
Workers to directly connect with people, and then to put them into the likes of these day centres to connect
against
with
their will
support. I mean,
that's what I'm talking about, the uncooperative ones. What do you do about the uncooperative ones? It seems to me the only thing you can do is chuck them in jail or move them on.
Well, that is currently what is happening. If somebody,
so this is the whole thing: out of sight, out of mind. When you move them on, then what? Literally, Heather, then what? So you've moved them on from central Auckland to Avondale, then what? Then they're homeless shouting at the Avondale shops. Then what? Then you move them on to Glen Eden. Sorry, Trey.
This is a person that's never had a human relationship, who's never had to build a relationship. She doesn't understand what social workers do.
That's true. She's married to Barry Soper, so you've hit that on the head.
Oh, yeah, no, that's a very mechanical relationship, and I don't like it. But yeah, this is what social workers do. They build relationships. They go and they talk to the shouty person, and they build trust, and they build a relationship, and they help that people. They put in the fucking work rather than go on talkback radio and say, there's a smelly shouty man down the road. He should be jailed for existing somewhere where I may perceive him.
And this is exactly what we're coming back to. Matt Ducey, the Minister for Mental Health, right? This is exactly the scenario.
Name.
While you're pledging to do all these things, while Karen Shaw is talking about education around alcohol, and you are cutting funding for the areas that help the mental health issues, that help educate about alcohol and stuff. So you can't have it both ways.
see as being immensely disruptive and bordering on violence or otherwise, then that is the role for the police and that is how they are currently responding.
But you know that doesn't happen that much because you live around there.
I do live in the city centre, and again, I think this is where I come back to. If we actually want to tangibly, meaningfully, and practically resolve these issues, then, as you say, there are some people who are at the most egregious end where it may be more appropriate for there to be a different kind of response. But what I am saying is that for the vast majority of people who are experiencing homelessness or who are currently put in emergency housing, which is not fit for purpose, then they are using the streets as effectively a third space. And that is where we can have serious and meaningful investment in these day centres, connect that up with outreach workers who are working with these social service providers, which looks like a far better and far more meaningful investment than simply kicking the can down the road where the issue gets worse and worse and worse as a pipeline into the criminal justice system.
Okay. Chloe?
There you go. Yes, the Queen speaks and we listen. It's frustrating. Like people, it really irks me when people talk about, these difficult people or these shouty people or these smelly people and I just kind of think, you mean the ones that need the most help, the ones that actually need wraparound help and care, the stuff that you guys talk about all the time, national-led government. Shall we talk about boot camps again? Wraparound care. You talk about this stuff all the time, and then you cut funding from Lifeline, or you don't fund enough. You cut funding from, I'm going to go find the word again because I can't remember, Tutu. You cut funding from them, and they close down. Whilst you're saying, what do we do with the shouty people? When the answer is help them with their mental health, and you're cutting money being spent in mental health. Matt Ducey, we might play this. Actually, maybe we'll play this now. Matt Ducey was talking about, he didn't even have a clue that Lifeline was losing funding. He's the Minister for Mental Health, and he had no idea. So, but actually, we'll do that now. But is there anything you want to say before, because it's only 2 minute story. Is there anything you want to play before I play that?
No, let's roll into it.
Well, it just kind of feels that it would be, this wasn't something we'd tease, but it feels like seeing we're talking about it, this will be an appropriate point to sort of chuck it in there. Yeah. So let's have a look at the story around what's happening with Lifeline.
One of New Zealand's longest running helplines has been forced to cut its hours. Lifeline will stop answering calls between midnight and 7 a.m.
I'm sure nothing bad happens between midnight and 7 a.m. with mental health issues. I'm sure that's a perfectly okay time. Monday to Friday, I'm sure it's fine.
It blames on a lack of government funding. And while the service has repeatedly contacted the Mental Health Minister about the matter, Matt Ducey's not aware of it. Here's senior political reporter Benedict Collins again.
Every year, tens of thousands of Kiwis who are struggling get in touch with Lifeline.
Hiya, this is Liza from Lifeline.
They're here to help people in their toughest hours.
Our team put together about 5,000 safety plans, which are people that are really struggling with mental health, maybe even considering.
Think about that. Let's do the math. 5,000 safety plans. 360, other way around, isn't it? 5,000, divided by 365. It's like 14 a day. 14 a day. That's huge. That's huge. People going through mental health issues to try and get down. 14 people a day. I would think more often than not, probably younger people as well, a day.
Taking their own lives. So that Lifeline is a really critical service.
Now Lifeline is having to reduce its hours, no longer operating 24 hours a day. From midnight till 7 a.m, no one will be answering calls for help.
One of the unfortunate things is that sometimes people, if they call us, for example, at 3 a.m, they're really struggling.
That sounds incredibly concerning. We know that people need mental health support around the clock, particularly during some of those late hours. And so I certainly think the government should be looking at what's happening here and whether or not they're investing in the right places.
Unable to get government funding, Lifeline faces a $2 million shortfall.
Do you think this could result in more suicides? Well, as I say, there's a number of government-funded telehealth lines out there, 1737, earlier mental health response line, youth line as well.
The Deputy Prime Minister has experience with helplines. And he donated his money from Dancing with the Stars to Kidsline.
I have to tell you that created more mental health issues, that scene right there, than almost anything that's ever happened on television in New Zealand. Sheesh.
I've had a long connection with telephone counselling and Lifeline. I volunteered for them, I donated to them, and I'm sorry to hear they've lost a contract or don't have the same funding they used to, but I understand the minister responsible has to make tough decisions sometimes.
Lifeline hoping the mental health minister will meet with them.
We've been in touch with the Minister's office over the last year. Their office encouraged us to apply for the Mental Health Innovation Fund. We were advised last month that our application was declined.
Matt Ducey, though, seemingly unaware Lifeline has been seeking a lifeline.
I'm not aware they have.
Now it's Lifeline that's in need of some help.
Take care.
Benedict Collins, One News.
And here's the thing, I've just done some numbers off the cuff. And I was going to say, imagine there was 10 people working overnight. There wouldn't be that many doing Lifeline. There'd be 3 or 4, I would think. But if there was 10 people overnight, right, at minimum wage, that's 7 times 10 is 70 hours, $20 an hour, whatever it is $150 a night. It's about $500,000 a year to fund that for 10 people. So realistically, it's probably 3 people. So you're probably looking at $170,000 a year. And if it was that $500,000 mark, that's 0.02% of the $2.9 billion they gave to landlords. So why, ministers, did you make the choice to fund 99.98, 100% to landlords rather than just funding them 99.98% of that and give the 0.02% to Lifeline so they could keep on going? Choices. It's just choices. Everything to do with money and budgets and the economy for any government is just choices. And they're choosing to go, nah, to Lifeline. Just like the teachers, they're choosing to go, nah, got no money for that pay rise. Of course, if I was a professional, I'd have it queued up. We all know what Judith Collins says. The money will be found because the money has to be found. Guess what? Suicidal teenagers, money doesn't have to be found. No.
But maybe Judith Collins is the answer. Like if you call Lifeline at 3 o'clock in the morning and can't get through, they will instantly
Judith's cell phone,
a brand new Navy helicopter to your location, give you a free helicopter ride to cheer you up a little bit.
Nice.
Yeah, this is not what we're about. I utterly reject what these guys think this country should be. Like, to see all of that raw care and empathy and emotion in Matt Ducey's voice.
Did you say douchey? Did you say douchey on purpose?
Yes, and I will continue to say
okay,
it.
I'm sorry.
I stand by my words and actions.
Okay.
Like, you saw that clip, chat. You heard his voice. Did that man sound like he gave a single solitary shit or even knew what the fuck was going on? And then we crossed to David Seymour, who goes, I've done this, that, and the other thing. I'm not going to do anything else, though.
Now that I have the power to make a change, I'm not going to use my power to make a change, but I'm glad I raised 50 grand for them when I could.
Yeah, because it made me look good, well, goodish. It got me on Dancing with the Stars, which is an act thing, weirdly enough. I don't know why.
Oh, Rodney Hyde.
But
people.
Again, that tells you what it's about. It was about optics. It was about making him look good rather than making a fucking difference, an actual difference, because this is when he could put his reputation on the line, if he had one. Like, these guys that just don't give a fuck. They don't want to help us. And if there's anything, like all of there will be so much discussion about, well, maybe they just did into the election. Vote based on their choices, not what they said, what they've done. They've shown us who they are. They've shown themselves to be mean. They've shown themselves to be against the majority of New Zealanders. They've shown themselves to be poor economic managers. They've shown themselves to be incompetent, and they've shown themselves to be fucking liars. only going to get more angry.